Hello, it's Chaplin 73, and I'm joined today by an artist who's local to me. That local, I could have actually popped to his house to do this interview. It's Colin A May. Hello, Colin. How you doing?
Hello, I'm good, thanks.
I will kick off with the first question because it's always a great place to start. Who are you? What do you do? And where are you from?
Right, so I'm Colin May. I go by the name of Colin A May as an author, artist, and poet.
Mhm.
Try my hand at all, but master of none. Chose Colin A May just because Andrew is my middle name, and I thought A sounds a bit more professional. So I've always been interested in art. I've always enjoyed sketching and drawing from when I was a young lad. I never thought I could paint, probably still can't. And until about, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, um, I never picked up a brush, not for any with any intent.
Mhm.
But now I enjoy it more than sketching and things like that. I like the use of color quite a lot.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't really everything's quite dark that I do. I like rock and heavy metal and the darker things in my interest. And I'm a big movie fan, big comic book fan. I like a lot of dark things, but when it comes to art, I like to inject as much color as I can and have contrasts and colors and dual colors like black and red and two tones and three
yeah, yeah.
tones and things like that. And I like things to pop. So, but yeah, art, artist, author, poet. Written a couple of books. Um, First one was mainly self-edited and with the help of my sister, and very very proud of it. But it's a lot more of a rough copy. Second one, I had the help of a lady called Anita Hunt, and she just done a master's degree,
Mhm.
and I put a post up on Twitter. Would anybody like to help me edit it and proofread it? And she volunteered and kindly
Brilliant.
offered her services for um, no charge, which was just absolutely fantastic. And it really spurred me on. And it was a daunting process when she first did it. And I came back with, because it's 11 short stories, the second book. And the
Oh,
first
right.
story I thought it's ideal. I'll send a story at a time. I sent the first story and come back like 250 revisions in it. And it broke me for a couple of days. I was in tears. I just couldn't believe my work was that bad. But then I looked at it, a lot of it was overuses of common words like
Yeah, yeah,
and said John, said John, said John, said John, and it's like I already know his name is John. And once I got over that, it was just an uphill climb, and it
yeah,
really
yeah.
was. It was so good, and I'm reading it now for the first time. I released it about 4 years ago, and I'm reading it now for the first time
Mhm.
whilst in the gym, just reading on a treadmill because I've never read my own books apart from when editing. And I look at it and go, "Did I write this?" And there's a lot I would change, a lot of things that I've learned, but not a lot. It's only like minor things, but I'm
So what are
reading
the
it.
books called if somebody wants to check them out?
So it's City of Red is the first one, and it's a love story, very simple story of a couple that moved from from the country to the city to try and make money,
Mhm.
and they get involved in a big crime syndicate thing. There's a girl that gets kidnapped, and it's one of the crime syndicate's daughters, and they get caught in the middle of it. And there's a vigilante going around trying to clean up the city. It's a very dystopian, extremely violent city. It's not any city in particular. I've just called it the city. Um, Rather a lot in the first book. I just kept on repeating the city and uh, a pocket. What was it? I kept on saying I can't remember now, but somebody who read it first said, if I read that word metropolis, he said, if I read the word metropolis one more time, I'm going to throw that book at you. There you go. That's what you do. It's what you learn. And
Yeah.
yeah, so City of Red, and there's lots of little stories in it. I wanted to write the book because I'm not much of a reader. I wanted to write the book in a way that anybody can pick it up and anybody can read it, adult. Um, and then put it back down and not get too lost. So the main story is simple, but there's lots of little stories which just pop in. So I'll have
Hmm.
like the main story for one chapter, and then the next chapter will be something completely different. And so there's fun and wild and wacky calendars, which are inspired by my love of comic books, mainly 2000 AD Judge Dredd. So there's like a one particular little story which keeps coming in and out.
Hmm.
Most stories just coming from one chapter and that's it. But there's one story I've used a couple of times about is two very, very, very overweight couples, obviously two, which they're like stealthy thieves, which I thought would be hilarious that they're so overweight they stand out, but they can go around and be stealthy thieves because they're so unsuspecting. I was spurred on by, I was inspired by Judge Dredd. They one particular. Lots of, if don't know if you're familiar with Judge Dredd, but it's fantastic and so some crazy artwork in it, and there's all
I
these
read
different
2000
characters.
AD as a teenager in my
Yeah,
teenage years, but I don't think I've picked it up since, to be honest.
so there's like there's the fatties in Judge Dredd, and they're so fat they've got these like unicycle wheels under their belly, and they go around and they're like a whole collection of people basically, and it's
Right.
meant obviously it's meant to be offensive but non-offensive in a way because everybody in this in Judge Dredd is sort of crazy. So I was sort of inspired by that, but they're not like quite as large as that. But yeah, I just thought it'd be great to do that. So they pop in and out.
Hmm.
Um, and then
It's
there's things
it
that
sounds like it's been a learning process.
yeah. I mean, um, when I did the second book, I really enjoyed doing the little story. So I thought, being a big heavy metal fan, I was going to do 11 short stories because 11 is louder than 10. So if you've seen Spinal Tap, so
Yeah.
I did 11 short stories, and what I did was I thought, right, well, how can I? The first book was a massive success in terms of people that bought it and picked it up. I think 300 people picked it up and probably never read it, but they picked it up, which is an achievement. A lot of my friends read it, and they were very kind, over kind, and um, I thought, right, how can I get people interested in the second book? So I put a post out there for all my artist friends, and I just started going to something called Drink a Doodle, which
Right.
was something that this a friend of a friend organised. We went to a local cafe in town, which is no longer there anymore, and we just used to doodle I think it was every fortnight on a Tuesday,
Hmm.
and we used to draw. And I didn't know what to draw at first, and it was like crappy, almost stick men, and then I just decided to draw like I think it's Chucky from Child's Play, and they were just like, "Wow, you've really come on!" And like, where did that come from? And I was like, "Well, I could always sort of do it, but I never really put the attention into it." And then that's how I sort of got into painting. Anyway, so I digress. So I put a post out saying, does anybody want to do a picture for each story? So I will send you the first draft
Yeah.
of the story, and then you do a painting which is inspired totally, no restrictions, no complaints. I'm not going to edit it. I'm not going to ask you to redo it. It's what you think when you read that story.
Hmm.
And I was hoping to get 11 artists, one for each story, but I didn't. A couple of people went off the boil. A couple of people were like, I'm not sure if I can do it. But I got 11 pictures.
Yeah.
And so, like, here's one. Don't you really see that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy one. This is just the story I've just read, funnily enough. And that's by Caroline Wallace, dark artist, who also did the front cover for me as well.
Oh, brilliant.
Um, so she did one, and then like a woman called Tanya Taylor, local artist. Tanya did, I think it was three. She did three different pictures, and it was great. So my hope was that they would then be like, "This, that's it. I've been immortalized in written form, and I can spread the word and say this is my art in a book," which not many people have.
Yeah.
And some people jumped on it, and by the time they did the paintings, by the time it came out, it's about a year and a half. It did go off the boil a little bit, I felt, but I can't thank them enough. I can't thank them
Yeah.
enough for making it. that extra little bit more interesting, because the black and white book, the normal book, doesn't have the pictures in color, but you can buy a color one, which is a lot more expensive because the print, it's all available on Amazon. But if you download it on Kindle, which I quite often do free promotions to pick it up, you can see it in color if you've used it on your phone or anything like that. And
Yeah, yeah.
it's just a great way to see art and a great way to
Hmm.
see, um, read the story. And then I put each picture after the story because I didn't want the picture to tell the story. I didn't
Yeah,
want the picture to be, this is what the characters look like, because it's not. That's what
yeah.
that person who read it, that artist who read it, that's what they think the character looks like.
Their
So yeah,
interpretation. Yeah, yeah, ideal.
yeah.
So is it kind of a local project? And I'm guessing the art scene in St Austell. I haven't been here for very long, so I'm guessing the art scene in St Austell is quite lively, and there's quite a few people who interact with each
Yeah.
other.
I mean, Tina Taylor, who's not Tanya Taylor, it's two different people. Tina Taylor and Linda Jones, I think my name. The name's just slipped my memory. She's gonna throttle me when she sees me. She, I think, I believe they spurred this. They got this whole pop up art thing going,
Hmm.
and pop up art St Austell. Literally, they just wherever they can get a space, wherever they can get arrangement. We've done it in the old Eden Path. We did it in a little cafe, a little dance studio cafe, dance studio for dance, I think it's called. We did one there. That wasn't as successful. Unfortunately, it was a little bit small.
Hmm.
The hosts were very accommodating. They were brilliant. Can't thank them enough. But it was harder to advertise. But the main venue that I think they've done, St Ives. They've done. I can't think off the top of my head, but they've done many different places. I've only taken part in the St Austell one. I think I've done about 7 or 8 now.
Oh wow.
And yeah, Tina's just really pushing for St Austell to be a great place for art, and it's getting there. It has. When we do the peacocks, we did one in Frankie and Benny's, which is the weird exhibition. So that one was no no landscapes, no pet portraits, anything like that. It was all just dark art or freaky art or fantastic or magical, just something that you wouldn't see every day. And that was in Frankie and Benny's, and it was gutted, and it wasn't gutted, so it was exactly the same as it was as a Frankie and Benny's. It's now Rocky's in St Austell.
Hmm.
I haven't been in there since, but I believe it's very similar, and to how Frankie and Benny's was. But all the Frankie and Benny's pictures and merchandise was still up on the walls, everything. It was crazy, and we got in there, and it was very dimly lit. It wasn't a great condition to view art,
Yeah,
but it
yeah.
was fantastic. I had a whole bar in it because I had so much artwork that they said, right, we'll stick you in a bar and you fill the bar up. So I went crazy with it, and that was my big moment for me. It was a
Yeah.
real. That's the first time I enjoyed doing one. The other ones I found quite laborious,
Hmm.
um, but I've always tried to bring something new. I'll invest every time just to try something different, like big strobing scrolling LED sign, which I used to use to adjust myself, but now I use as the main thing as the attraction on the front door, which people walk past and they see it and they read it and oh, there's an art exhibition, and then it seems to work. I've seen it. I've seen people walk past and go, hmm, and they've read it, and you can see it from a mile off. So,
Brilliant.
but yeah, I'll try to do different things. I'll try to do different techniques, 3D and things like that, because I don't like to just repeat. I don't want to be one of these artists, and it's no disrespect to them who just do
One
seascapes,
thing.
who just
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's great that they do, and they're masters of it, and they're masters of their art.
Hmm.
And that's why I say I'm a trier of all and a master of none, because I don't give it enough time to master it, I suppose. I think poetry is the only thing I really, really like, am sort of fixated with, because it's an instant. I call all my art regurgitation, and it's an instant regurgitation. I can just sort of get it out.
Have you written any poetry books or?
Yeah, so I've got 4 poetry books. I think I've got three. I've got 3 poetry books and then one compilation of the 3.
Hmm. And you
I've
do
also
spoken word poetry? Did performance or?
no, no, I'm not too great with reading out. I've done a couple of videos of just some silly ones, and I decided I was going to. So some people said, "Oh, you should stick it up on YouTube. It'd be great." And that's not for me. I don't really want the attention or the critique either.
Yeah.
I mean, we do. Obviously, you do. You need a certain amount of ego to do. Somebody said it. One of the artists that came said to one of the exhibitions and featured it. It was a fantastic artist. I won't name who it was, but they said, I don't think I can do art exhibitions anymore because I haven't got the ego for it. And I thought it was an attack on me. I took it quite offended. Like I took offense to it. But when I thought about it, I mean, after we discussed it a bit more, I realised what he was saying. Saying that you need a certain amount of ego to put yourself out there and believe your stuff is good.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Most artists suffer with self-crippling doubt, don't they? It's
yeah, we do. I mean, you do need ego, but you do. I think every artist has doubt, and every artist questions themselves, and I'm not alone in that. I don't believe I I've just done what I think is my finest piece, which is a Ricky Hatton painting, which I did
yeah,
in
yeah,
2 evenings. Took about 6-7 hours. Like one of my fastest painted, it's one of my best. Purely because Ricky Hatton was coming into my workplace for a meet and greet signing thing. I got him to sign it. And I'm so pleased with it.
yeah,
People are talking about you should sell it for big money, and I might try. I don't know. Um, but I'm so pleased with it. It came out absolutely brilliantly. But it was one of I spent longer doing art, which is 10%, of
yeah.
what it is. Totally inferior. It's just the way it goes
I was
sometimes, and
just
it's
about to say
just
sometimes it works out like that, doesn't it? Sometimes it flows, sometimes it takes you a while. But yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So what got you into being creative? You've kind of touched on that before, that you drew and you doodled and
I
stuff
think
previously. But
yeah, when I was
what
young,
what made you start taking yourself seriously is kind of where I'm coming from.
yeah, when I was young, I think I don't know, I was 5 or 6. I started draw myself a little comic, and I couldn't draw anything, so I did the Misadventures of Eggman, and it was just a fried egg. And um, then my dad come up to me and he said, "Oh, you should do a character called Titus Aduxus." I think I must have been 7 or 8 actually. And I didn't understand the joke. Titus a duck's ass. I didn't understand it. It's a Scottish duck, and it was crap. But um, then I started doing like Mario and Sonic, and I really enjoyed that. And I thought, oh, yeah, that looks reasonably good. And I started doing some Judge Dredd at about 14 when I got into Judge Dredd, and some other 2000 AD characters like Slane, which was just way beyond my skills because the Slane drawings are phenomenal. Probably some of the best art I've ever seen,
Mhm.
in my opinion. Um, and then when I started doing this drinker doodle thing, um, I actually sat down and I focused on, I saw what some of these other artists were doing. One of my favorite artists, and I believe now I can call a friend, Amy Eccleston. I think I pronounced her last name right. Her art is phenomenal. I mean, it really is. Every time she does something, I think, wow, really is. I recommend anybody look her up. She's absolutely superb. Her use of color, she uses all colored pencils, and it's just the shading's phenomenal. And I saw
Mhm.
what she was doing, and um, Matt Uren, who does a lot of graphic design and stuff, and he did some pictures for my book as well, and he did a fantastic digital artwork of a guy on a bike. I think it's a woman on the bike, and his stuff was just amazing, and their visions was amazing. And I'd really just thought, well, maybe I should need up my game a little bit.
Mhm.
And Caroline was there, who's like I say, been a great friend since school, and we know each other quite well socially. Her art's great, and she was a big encouragement to me because her art, she goes by the name of Dark Artist. Her art's very dark and very moody and gothicy. She likes a lot of the same music that I do. We go to the same gigs quite often, and seeing somebody local and in a similar age doing stuff, which was and creating like dark images, which are offensive to some, but striking and appealing to many.
Hmm.
You know, it really did make me think, I'm not, why should I be ashamed of creating that, you know? And
Yeah.
I mean, with the writing of books, that was all part of like a nervous breakdown thing that was happening in one of the jobs I didn't like. When I was just sitting there in Truro city centre, and I was just thinking about angry things that I could do to people, and it's obviously not the way I want to live. But I needed to get things out and channel my aggression. So I was like, right, I'm just going to kill people off, and I kill people off in my books
Yeah.
because I'm a total pacifist and a great believer of love and a hippie lifestyle, but a lot of my art that I like, movies and comic books, is all about action and violence, and I soak it up and I do enjoy it, and it does, you know, it does have an effect on what I enjoy, but you know, it's not who I am. I don't believe in that. You know, we've spoke privately about um, some of the ways that we're involved in helping people in life, and
Hmm.
although not me personally, my partner, and we, you know, that's how I want to live, and I want to be able to support people and things like that, and be
Yeah. Yeah.
as nice as I can. And it affects me when people say that's quite offensive. It does, and I'm sure a lot of artists do. Some people just think, I don't care if it offends you. I do it my way, and that is true to a point. But you know,
Yeah.
I put on my books, you know, adult content, and I should hate for a child to pick it up or a parent to pick it up and think, oh, my child read this, is disgusting. There's a lot of swear words, you know. I think I did a swear word count just for fun. It was like 300 swear words or something, you know. It's a lot of swear words. It's meant to be shocking. It's meant to be offensive, but it's also meant to be cool and fun if that's your sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my art's like that as well. There's a lot of blood, a lot of gore, horror. Some people think it's horror, but it's not meant to be. It's meant to be satirical and political, a lot like the 2000 AD stuff. It's meant to be um like I started doing drawings when I got little books on where I've got collections of drawings of and it was a lot of sort of misanthropic themes. So it was a lot of how my distaste for the violence, you know. So it was like mythical beasts
Hmm.
because I couldn't draw horses. Like I got one of it like it's a mythical beast being stabbed by a guy with a great big sword. Um, and it was meant, and I've got another one with like a little a child. It's non-gender specific with like an angel at a grave with a an army helmet on, and there's a bomb on top of the grave, and it just says in love in memory of, and there's no name on it, and it's meant to be about the the beauty of life being stolen by the cruelty of man, if you see
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
I get where you're
and
coming from.
women, and you know, and it's meant to be my distaste for. I mean, in my opinion, we're beasts. You know, we're part of the animal kingdom. We've all got violence. Unless you watch cats play and cats kill, they're vicious little things, and I believe we're capable of it. But I think we're at a level where we should keep it to fiction,
We can find
and
another
that's
outlet for that. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, channel your anger rather than
Yeah.
release
Into
it
something
more.
creative, which is
Exactly,
great.
and that's yeah,
So
you summed it
so
up just there. I've
so
been
obviously.
waffling for about 10 minutes, and
Oh,
you've
no,
just done it
no,
in one
no.
sentence.
Absolutely fine. But yeah, so you sort of like found your confidence a few years ago after doing your drink a doodle. What advice would you give to an artist if they came to you and said, "Look, Colin, I want to paint, I want to do stuff, I
Oh
want to be
yeah, I do.
creative."
People come in, squeaky chair. um, it sounds like people come into the art exhibitions and they say, "Oh, that's fantastic! I wish I could do that." Not necessarily to me, but to other people. You know, you've got an artist and Pop Up who does absolutely beautiful tigers and lions and elephants and things like that. I don't want to say a name because I can't remember it. I don't want to pinpoint the wrong person. But you know, and people say, oh, "I wish I could do things like that." Give it a try. You know,
Yeah,
we've had
yeah,
people come up and say, "Oh, I'd love to do art exhibitions, but I'm not that good." And like, I wanted to do like a human focused one, and people think I can't draw humans, and it's like, well, it doesn't have to be a um, anatomically correct. A
yeah.
lot of people believe that if you draw a woman in art, and if you draw her with and a man, if you draw a man without the muscles, if you draw a man, a full nude man, and he's got a small member, if you draw a woman and she's got lumps and bumps, and it is changing, but people don't want to see it. They want to see a woman that looks beautiful. They want to
Hmm.
see curves and things in the right places, and it's sad that it's like that. Um, I went for a stage of making a lot of the people that I painted when I started painting. Non-gender specific, and it wasn't because of any LGBT um, choice or anything like that. It was purely two reasons. One, because I didn't want to do, I didn't want to do, I wasn't confident enough to do the, a perfect body, and I didn't want to do the perfect body because there isn't one,
Yeah.
and so and I tried to cover things up as well to not be offensive. I mean, if I had my way, every single painting I did would have breasts in it. But that's just me. We spoke before about artists that inspire us, and the only artist that I can say has inspired me is the only one that I've paid attention to is somebody called Boris Vallejo. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. He's a
Yeah, yeah.
fantasy artist, and he does great muscular bodies and
Hmm.
perfect women in
I know his
dragons
work.
and
Yeah,
things.
yeah,
Fantastic artist, and that was who inspired me. Thinking back now, who inspired me to draw people, because I just wanted to draw and stuff like that. It was phenomenal. It still is phenomenal. And
yeah,
to me, it's very close to comic books, which obviously, like I said, I love. So my advice to people, and I do say it to people, I say just do it. No one's
yeah.
gonna, you know, no one's gonna. Not everybody that comes in and looks at my art is gonna enjoy it.
Hmm.
A lot of people are going to be offended by it. A lot of people are going to go, that's crap. It's nonsense. It's not, it's not perfect. It's, that person's head's too big, or, why would you pick that as a choice? It's just violent, or it's gory, or, it's crazy colors. Um, but then you're still going to get other people like myself. As much as I appreciate a fantastic seascape, I find incredibly dull. They're great to look at and to examine for me, but after a minute or two of looking, I don't want it on my wall,
Hmm.
And my hope is that you find just that one or two people that turn around and go, I really like your art, I connect with it, I want it on my wall. And you know, that's the best thing. That's the best thing for any artist, I think. And no matter what we do, but you going back to your original question, which I'm not trying to avoid, I just over talk things. Um, it's just try it. Don't let people. When I was in school, a lot of teachers would tell you how to do things. I believed, and they said, oh, you should be able to do shading of an apple. You should be able to do this and do that. And funny enough, I bumped into my old art teacher this week and came into my work, and I told him I was into art, and he does abstract stuff, which I don't understand. Um, and he was really interested in what I was doing, and I sort of
Hmm.
it was a conflict because everything I believed in the syllabus. Everything I believed was from school. It was like you have to draw a bowl of fruit. You have to do this. You have to do that.
Yeah,
There's no thinking outside the box. There's no thinking outside the box. But this was a man who's genuinely an artist. He's interested in that. And
yeah.
it's just like, well, why don't they do that in schools? Maybe they do now. I'm 40 years old. Maybe they do now, but everything seems so structured, and I think people get stuck with that. They get stuck with that structure.
Yeah, I mean, I struggled with art when I was at school for that very reason. I found it boring. I found it very restrictive. I found it, the what they're asking me to do, I didn't want to.
Yeah.
create. But you know, since I've left school and been allowed to experiment and be creative, I've enjoyed art. But while I was at
Yeah.
school, I didn't enjoy it as much as I
I
probably should
hated
have.
it. I
Yeah,
hated it.
yeah,
But I do understand now I'm older and a little bit wiser. I do understand what they were trying to teach me.
yeah,
You know, I
yeah,
do understand that shading and things like that are important, but I just felt it was presented in the wrong way.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Um,
I've got two more questions, and we're
I just
running out of
noticed,
time,
yeah, I've
so
been waffling.
I will just crack on a bit. So what artist, live or dead, would you like to spend 24 hours with, or you know,
Um,
a day with?
like I said, I'm not really influenced by many.
Yeah.
Like Boris Vallejo, his art is great. Would I like to meet him? Not really. I don't believe in meeting heroes.
Mhm.
Um, when I met Ricky Hatton the other day, which was great, so it's a bit of a contradiction in terms there. Um, but I think I'd like to go into like a comic book house, like studio, publishing office, whatever. I'd like to see. Can't name any of them, but I'd love to see them drawing some fantastic like Judge
Yeah.
Dredd. 2000 AD would be the one for me. Um, some of the more adult and like late teens, like the Marvel Max, anything Marvel, which like Punisher and Wolverine, but the more adult,
Mhm.
they tend to have fantastic artwork, and those
Yeah.
sorts of I'd love to
Comic book
anyway.
art, I think, is massively underrated.
It
You know,
really is. You
as
look
an
at some
art
of the
form.
artwork. Yeah, you look
Uh,
at some of the artwork in like the Punisher. It's just phenomenal. It really is.
And I think it would be fascinating to spend a day watching people, you know, put comics together or come up with the, you know,
Yeah, unfortunately,
the
I've seen some documentaries, and it's never quite as nice as you think of it.
probably isn't. No.
I'd probably end up loathing it.
Yeah, you'd end up bored after an hour or two.
Yeah.
So, final question: what's in store for the future for Colin A May, and you know,
So
what have you got
Pop Up Art St
upcoming?
Austell are doing a exhibition May. Oh, I should know. There's 25th.
Hmm.
In Peacock's old Peacock store again, and it's going to be a myths and legends. So there's going to be lots of old Cornish myths and legend dragons and things like that.
Hmm.
Depending on the artist's depiction of myths and legends, like fantasy and things like that. And I've hijacked it. Me and an artist called Sue Burley, we've hijacked it, and we're going to do our own thing. We were going to do it in another venue, but it all fell to pieces. But anyway, long story short, because I've waffled on enough, we're going to set up a little makeshift dark room at the back of the store, and we're going to do a UV powered exhibition if we can. It's all play it by ear because it's got to be set up on the day or the day before, and it's going to be we're trying to make a little room as dark as we can, put black lights in there. We're going to have all of our neon and phosphorescent art in there, which will glow in the dark. And it'll all be glowing under this UV light, black lights, and we've both got totally different approaches to art. Hers is a lot more fantasy and mythical, and which is great because she can do both exhibitions, and she is.
Yeah,
Mine's whatever I think of at the time.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, it's I put a lot of lights and things. I've done one here. I'll just quickly turn it on. I know we're running out of time. But I put like crazy neon lights in
yeah,
his
yeah,
punk's
yeah.
hair, and there's also lights. Like he's got black light eyes,
Hmm.
and then there's black light uplighters as well.
Oh wow,
So these are all just neon colors and glow in the dark colors. The whole thing
yeah,
will light up, and it's not the best painting. It's not meant to be. It's meant to just be some random punk, you know.
yeah,
So
yeah,
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 I'd like to do things like that. It's interesting. You have to build the box and get all the batteries in and
yeah.
work it out. My dad
There's a
helps me with things like,
lot more to it than just painting a picture. Yeah.
oh yeah, my dad helps me a lot with things like that. I can do like just a simple wiring, but he does
Hmm.
the woodwork, and he's a craftsman. He always says that he's not a craftsman. He always says it's in the making it. No, it's in the faking it, not the making it. That's what he says. And I see what he says. He can cover up a lot of mistakes and a lot of blemishes, but he doesn't realize his own talent. He really doesn't.
Hmm.
He's a he's he inspired me. He does wood turning, and he's fantastic. He's,
Brilliant.
and yeah, I just wish he would have a bit more confidence in himself. But I guess it's not in his makeup, unfortunately. But he's done some fantastic stuff.
So you've got the joint exhibition coming up. Have you got any writing or anything that you're working on at the moment?
I'm always doing poetry. I'm on this site, All Poetry, which I think is the world's largest poetry site, and I regularly post on there. I think I've got like 56, 57 poems on there at the minute.
Wow.
And you get quite a good feedback on that. It encourages people to feedback. I won't go into it, but yeah, so I enjoy that because, like I say, it's an instant regurgitation.
Yeah.
I've got a few book ideas which I've started to do and then gone off the boil. I don't know whether I will write another book. I thought of one just this week called The Chain. Literally popped in my head about somebody who's chained up. And it's a journey of them being chained up, and how can I make that? How can I do it? Be like the Phone Booth or Man on the Ledge. So I think of films. So how can it be? How can I write an entire story of somebody chained up, and
Yeah.
it'd be a bit of a psychological horror. And I want to be less violent, but more psychological violent. And I don't want to have as much swearing. I don't want to be a one-trick pony. I don't want to just be offensive all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you.
I mean, I've done that. I've been offensive. I've said all the F words and the swear count. I've done a body count thing, as many bodies as I can stack up. I don't want to just do that. I've got a really, well, I think it's a fascinating idea of somebody who's stuck on a ship and called a Desolation Diary. And I started it, and I just struggling to think of what one person can do stuck on a ship. So
Yeah. Well,
maybe one day.
well, it's been fascinating talking to you, Colin, and
And you.
really good to get to know about what you do creatively. I'm looking forward to popping into Peacocks and seeing the
Yeah, come along. It'd be great to chat some more. Bore the
yeah.
pants off you with my endless waffling. So
No,
yeah, I mean,
all good.
it's going to be a different one because when do you see it? I've never seen a UV art exhibition. I've never done many art exhibitions, but you don't see them.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like we're going to have torches. So if anybody wants to see it, then they can take it off the wall, or you take it into the main room, or be shine a torch and see it under real light.
Yeah.
But it's going to be different
Yeah.
because why should we always do it the same? It's not an
Absolutely.
art thing. Oh yeah, you're just trying to be arty. No, it's not. It's just we don't want to be boring.
Right. On that note, I'm going to end the interview. Thank you very
Yeah,
much for the interview. And to my viewers, if you like what you've seen today, please subscribe to my channel by hitting the subscribe button below. And I'll see you in the next interview. Cheers.
thank you
Bye
very
bye.
much.
Thanks, Colin. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.